There are 12 tribes of Israel, 12 astrological signs, 12 main apostles that we hear about whenever we're talking about the person of Yeshua or Jesus, 12 labors of Hercules, 12 planets of our solar system according to metaphysical history of the solar system. Basically, the number 12 keeps showing up a lot of different places. Now, the number 12 is kind of like representative of the cyclical nature of one realm of reality, or one realm or dimension of the experience of whom what we are. And the number 13 is kind of like the pathway between two realms or two dimensions of the experience of whom what we are. So I wanted to relate the number 13 with the Christ principle because the number 13 describes an energy or function or quality of consciousness that is the Christ principle, which is that journey from one realm to the next. Now, the 12 astrological signs are important whenever we're discussing sort of the cyclical nature of one dimension of the experience of who what we are, because the 12 astrological signs are kind of like archetypal basic human consciousness personalities. And so when you are born during the time of a certain astrological sign at a certain time of year, then they can give people ideas as to your personality type or your nature, what drives you, what you like, and certain things like that. Now, it doesn't determine any of those things. Rather, it gives an idea as to what type of influences were involved in your congealing out of the energetic realm into this material realm. So it's just important to know that although they certainly describe the influences that went into our own creation, they don't determine or place limits on anything that we do. But the zodiac signs are very much an important part of understanding what Christ is, because there are not 12 zodiac signs. There are actually 13. Now, a sign of the zodiac is determined by a particular constellation falling on the ecliptic, which is the path that the sun makes as it goes through the sky. And the sun actually goes through 13, not 12. The reason we don't really talk about the 13th one is because it's such a small part of the sky that it just makes everything a lot more difficult. And the actual size of the constellations of the zodiac varies. So like one is big, another one is little. It's not evenly chopped up. So in order to make things easier, I believe, at least according to what I understand about how we sort of formulated our zodiac, astrologers and stuff just basically got rid of the 13th one and then made each section that the 12 that we know now have be the same size in the sky. But there are 13 zodiac signs. The 13th one is Ophiuchus, and that means the serpent bearer. Now, this serpent energy is also very much related to what the Christ is, because if you look at the New Testament anyway, and again, the books that we would normally consider to be the New Testament are the watered down, reduced, abridged versions of what was actually available. And yes, the Catholic Church was mainly involved in excluding lots of things that are more esoteric and more mystical about the New Testament, although what they included has just as much in it if we know how to read it. Here we go. John 3, verse 14. As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. And that's from the English Standard Version. So the Son of Man being lifted up is that Christ principle being enacted or used in us. Now, it's interesting to note that the Son of Man is distinct from the Son of the Creator or God. Now, the Son of Man is something that mankind has created as opposed to what uh, the Creator created. Now, the Creator created us, man, but what mankind created was a world ruled by selfish ego. And of course, this is my basic interpretation of it. So, what we have to raise back up is um, that which recreated. In other words, that selfishness and whatever self-absorbed awareness produced in terms of what we experience, we have to raise that back up through the inaction and the use of this thing called the Christ principle. So in terms of the energy of what all this is, the Christ consciousness is very much related to the heart chakra in the Hindu system, and also the color green, because the color green is actually a particular range of the spectrum that the subjective experience of which produces a certain other experience. And that experience is that of moving from one realm of the dimension of the experience of whom what we are into another. So the human eye is actually evolved and directed by intelligence. But anyway, it evolved in order to be sensitive to that range of the spectrum in particular. There are actually three peak sensitivities that the human eye has, and that is red, blue, and green. So in other words, we see the both ends of the spectrum, the red and the blue, and the balance between them. And it is through the inaction of that balance and continually bringing our experience into balance that we bring our reality and experience of reality back into balance. And it also, I must say that balance is not a stagnation. Balance is like a stable platform from which evolution can occur. Because if you have chaos in your internal environment or in the world and no order, then no evolution occurs. Now, order is not for the purpose of controlling, it's just for the purpose of giving you a stable environment so that evolution can occur. One more thing. According to the Mayan long count calendar, we are actually in the 13th, what they call Baktun, which is just a measurement of a certain amount of time. We're in the 13th Baktun of this particular cycle right now. And the last day of the 13th Baktun is December 20th, 2012. And the beginning of the 14th, or the next cycle of that same amount of time, is December 21st, 2012. Now, the beginning of the 14th Baktun is actually, when you write out the Mayan calendar, it's 13, and then dot 0, dot 0, dot, but I'll put up a slide. Now, it's kind of like how we say 19th century, but that means the 1800s, or we say 20th century, and that means 1900s. The 14th Baktun begins on the day, or the year, the day, 13. Now, this is indicative of the transitionary period that humanity as a whole is in and is going through. And 2012 is my next big topic. My big topic. Well, there are many people saying many things about it, but I don't believe it is anything negative at all. And it has more to do with the transformation of humanity's collective consciousness than anything else. And what we transform that consciousness into, and then where that takes us from there in terms of how we affect the earth, ourselves, and everything in it.